While a salary discussion is one of the most straightforward parts of the interview process, it can also be the most stressful. And if you don't negotiate, the research indicates you're leaving as much as $1 million on the table throughout the course of your career. But the good news is that there are strategies you can use to figure out an answer that will be fair to yourself and within your employer's budget. Hello friends, it's AshleyStahl here, a counterterrorism professional turned career coach, host of the U-Turn podcast, and author of the best-selling book also named U-Turn. Get unstuck, discover your direction, design your dream career. So no matter how comfortable you are in the job interview process, most people get a little uncomfortable when the money conversation comes up. Perhaps it'll sound like, what are your compensation requirements? Or how much money are you making in your job right now? Whatever it is, if you're anything like I used to be, you're cringing. And I get it, but you must know that this is a really good sign that the interview process is going well. They wouldn't be bringing up salary if they weren't interested in possibly bringing you on. Job hunting is like dating in that way. Why go there and ask the big questions if you can't even see the person across the table at least being a good fling, you know what I mean? But many candidates dread talking about salary and worry that it could really ruin their chances. And yet, out of the thousands of people I've worked with as a career coach, both in my online courses and one-on-one, only one has lost an opportunity due to trying to negotiate their salary. And if that happens, it's probably not an employer you want to work for anyway. Especially if you're a woman. We have so far to go when it comes to getting paid right. When you're stepping up for yourself as a woman, you're stepping up for all of us, okay? Whether the employer wants to know if they can afford you or you're wanting to make sure you properly value your time, here are some tips for answering this complex question. Number one, research the market and salary trends in your industry. No matter what the job position is, your job interview is an opportunity to enroll your employer or the possible employer into a vision of what's possible for them when they hire you. Compensation talks can come up at any point in the interview process, so be sure that you're prepared early on to answer this question, which means you need to do your homework in advance. And of course, do not be the one to initiate the conversation about money. You let them do that. You can find some solid reporting on salary at glassdoor.com, indeed.com, and even on LinkedIn. All have spaces to research salary both by industry and by company. Explore some salaries based on the industry you're looking at and the level of responsibility you'd be taking on, knowing that the numbers could vary depending on the company size and of course the location. I'd say every time you unlock a salary range, aim to break the difference into thirds and make your request in the middle towards the top third of the range. This brings me to my next point. Number two, state a compensation range, not a specific number. No matter what stage of the interview processes you're in, if they talk salary, always go with a range of numbers instead of a specific one number. Although you could just answer your salary is negotiable depending on the range and keep it open because, as I tell my students in the Job Offer Academy program, the first person to give away a number loses. And yet, if you're pushed to give a number, remember what I said about doing your research and sharing a range in the middle to the top third of what you were seeing when you did your research. A good way to state this is, I know the market is compensating people at this level of responsibility in the range of X to Y, so I'm thinking somewhere around there, but I'm receptive to what you have in mind. This phrase shows flexibility and leaves plenty of room to negotiate, which you should always do. It'll also bring to light if you and the employer are on the same page salary-wise. Being receptive and negotiable with your energy is perfect in the early stages of job interviews. You don't want to play any hardball until you have an offer in your hand. Number three is to look confident. So much of communication is not about what you actually say, but how you say it. Say what you're going to say and make sure your words are riding on an energy of neutrality and worthiness, not anxiety or fear. Stand up or sit up straight, plant yourself strongly, take a deep breath, and answer confidently and self-assured. When you're calm, you're in your most powerful state. Something as simple as taking a deep breath can calm you down in so many ways. Regardless of how nervous you are, it's so important to portray confidence during the entire interview process, but especially in this conversation. Your hesitation around a financial number will become their hesitation. In fact, it's such a big deal that 40% of interviewers, they state that the quality of a candidate's voice and overall confidence was a reason for not taking the candidacy further. So don't sell yourself short just because of your nerves. Breathe in, breathe out. And if you tend to get nervous, practice this for a while in the mirror. Number 4, if you feel like you absolutely need to, you can explain your reasoning. I'm a big believer that when it comes to important and meaningful conversations, less is more. It's not to say that you shouldn't speak clearly, but it is to say that you should be clear and move on. When you talk about something awkward for too long, it becomes really awkward because the initial salary conversation is always more of a rough estimate. You don't need to go into detail explaining how you got to a certain number. That being said, if you get the sense that they want an explanation, you can talk about the job market and compensation rates you're seeing, along with a unique set of experience you have as it relates to the job, your education, or what your vision is for the company that translates into why that salary might make sense for you. Having a well thought out answer to this question ahead of time can avoid awkward conversations and a low starting salary. By giving an honest and informed response, you can make the employer happy while also giving yourself a nice raise. Do you have any secrets to getting a raise at work? What works for you? I would love to hear in the comments. And in the meantime, I'll see you next week.